You're listening to the Cloud 5 podcast. I'm Joe Monk, but you'll know me as someone much just built different. Today in the show, we look back at the gruesome stage shows, murderous emperors, penis-based stonemasonry of ancient Rome, and learn that Florida women can be just as mental as men during tales of elderly disguises and EpiPen assault. We discuss landing on Mars, the imminent rise of artificial intelligence, and Luke's vision of humanity's return to the Stone Age. You can catch us here every Sunday at 7 PM. We hope you like it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cloud 5, the podcast where 5 British idiots delve into the latest and strangest in news and pop culture. Before we dive in, some introductions to the cast of irreverent imbeciles who'll be guiding you through this week in weird news. First up, I am Jack. We've got Brandon.
Hello.
We have George.
Hello.
We have Joe.
Hi.
And we have Luke.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 6 of the Cloud 5 podcast. We're
That's
very
like
excited to be
6
here.
episodes.
That's at least
crazy.
6.
Yeah.
Bang on, Brandon. Nice one.
220 people listening to our podcast, which is a
Awesome.
ridiculous amount.
I mean, 200 of those are me just clicking it over and over again, but you know.
That's a lot of people listening to our bilge every week.
Yeah.
So we are delighted to see you here. Keep sending in messages. Keep sending us shit. Not actual shit. I'd rather
Literal
not.
shit, please.
But
Yeah,
You can
don't
send
do
that to me.
Send that directly to Brandon. He'll deal with all shit-related inquiries.
Mhm.
But also feel free to join in our Discord server. I'll be making a note during the episode of things that I need to pop in there. And if you join our Discord server, you can get insider knowledge. By which I mean just speak to us. We won't be
don't.
revealing any dark secrets on there. But you can
Oh.
we'll also be linking and posting the images on there of the stuff we talk about in the podcasts. So that'll be fun. And we've got a nice little base of people there. So if that's what you're into, feel free to join. The link for the Discord will be in our link tree on our social media accounts, and also in the description of the YouTube video that you may or may not be listening to right now, which is fun.
I like.
So, without further ado, first up, it's Headliners. The weekly segment
Headliners!
where you lot fill in the gaps of the zaniest headlines I can find in the depths of the internet.
I love this one.
First, headliner. Ukrainian man invents blank to get police to clear snow from his road.
System.
System?
Nice.
No, that would be a fairly reasonable guess. But
Fire.
I'm going realistic today.
Corn
One
on the
could-
cob.
one could say...
Corn on the cob.
No, Corn on the Cob unfortunately already exists, Brandon. But I say unfortunately because I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It's literally
I
just
love
yellow
Corn on the
water.
No, it isn't. That's banana water.
It's just like you know, you go to KFC and they're like, "Oh, what order do you want on the side? Do you want these disgusting reheated beans, or do you want this stick of corn that you're going to throw in the bin anyway?" So
I
what's the
get
choice?
gravy.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. KFC, gravy.
Or you just dip your
Definitely.
chips in your Kentucky brew.
Nobody buys Kentucky Brew. I'm convinced that they've discontinued Kentucky Brew because it doesn't exist. There's no way that anyone goes to the KFC. Do you know what I'm really here for? Kentucky Brew coffee. I want a disgusting grey.
I thought it was
Broth.
tea.
Is it
It
tea?
was tea.
Well,
I don't know.
brew.
Brew? Brew sounds like tea.
They obviously haven't marketed it very well because I don't know what the fuck it is. I went. The only time I've ever been exposed to Kentucky Brew is walking in and seeing the dusty, abandoned Kentucky Brew machine.
It was probably
and laughing
already
at it.
broken.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
probably
maybe-
arrived in half.
But then again, that's just the KFC in our area. Anyway, back to the guessing. It is a system of some kind, but the headliner is not system. It's quite a wacky concept. A Ukrainian man invents blank to get police to clear
Flamethrower.
snow from his road.
Is
What?
it world peace?
Yeah, I was going to say fire.
No, guys, I have to break it to you. Fire exists, as does a
Yeah,
flamethrower.
not to Ukrainians though. You ever seen a Ukrainian on fire? I haven't actually seen it with my own two eyes. It doesn't exist.
It's not in my power to dispute that because I haven't seen
Yeah.
a burning Ukrainian man. Therefore, I cannot say that the Ukrainians have invented
I thought-
fire. Yeah.
That's
I wonder what he
I meant.
invented. Did he invent a snow plow, but the snow plow is made out of more snow plows, so it's like more...
Oh, I have an idea.
Do you?
He puts like a plough on the front of the police car secretly, and it drives up to his drive and clears all the snow. That's smart.
Well, George, I can tell you that you are the closest so far, because the story does involve police, and it does involve the man wanting the police to plough his road. However, the actual headliner is Ukrainian man invents murder to get police to clear snow from his road.
Invents a murder.
Now, he didn't create the concept of murder in Ukraine. This is a recent news story.
Now, nobody ever got murdered in Ukraine until that man decided to
no one in Ukraine has died of anything other than natural causes. No, a Ukrainian dude falsely confessed to the murder of his still living family member in order to get his road ploughed. He said he'd stabbed his mother's partner in the chest and warned police to come with a snowplow because there was no other way to get to him. When police arrived in an SUV, not with a plough, unfortunately, so all that wasted, they discovered the relative was at the house, but unharmed, and the quote-unquote killer immediately confessed to making a fake call. The man faces a fine of, get this, up to 119 hryvnias, which is the equivalent of £3.
Oh my god. A small price to pay for a cleared road.
Yeah, well, he didn't even get his cleared road, so...
Oh.
Yep, so all of that for nothing.
What a shame.
I was going to say, can't he just, like, pour lighter fluid everywhere and just light it on fire?
They haven't invented it yet, have they?
Yeah, but we just invented it for this.
Yeah, Brandon, you idiot. They haven't invented fire.
Yeah.
Were you not listening? So, second headliner. Rare Roman blank found in Cambridgeshire. This one's quite close to home for us.
Penis.
Gladius.
Armour.
A gladius would be a cool discovery, and so would armour. But Brandon got it head on.
What?
Was it a penis carved into stone?
Yep, it was. It was a penis carving found in Cambridgeshire.
My dad sent me this.
Oh, did he? Ah,
yeah.
Excellent. Well, he's a very well-informed man. A highly significant, quote-unquote highly significant, carved Roman phallus was found on a broken millstone along the... I mean, it's so funny. It is funny. It's found on a broken millstone along the A14 between 2017 and 2018. However, it's only just been put back together, revealing the penis. It's one of only 4 known examples of Romano-British millstones decorated in this way. They loved penises, in all ways. Phallic images were seen as an important image of strength and virility in the Roman world, so they loved a bit of penises. In fact, legionaries would wear penis amulets with little wings on to give them good luck before battle around their neck.
Have you seen the actual picture of the millstone?
Yeah, I have seen. It's quite a large.
It's
peen.
chody, isn't it? Not chody, girthy. Girthy, that's the word.
Yeah.
It is large, yeah.
Chody. Does it lean to the left or to the right?
Depends on the perspective, doesn't it?
Was it an erect one or was it a flaccid one?
Well, it's quite it wasn't. It was carved into stone, so
it's pretty erect.
Answer the question, Jack.
The difference between it's like one of the penises that kids draw in schools. So they draw the balls and then the penis sticking out. It's a kind of it's neither erect nor flaccid because it's pointing down and yet also long. So
I have a couple of those in my old GCSE poetry anthology.
I'm sure you do. But yeah, the Romans, they had no qualms about penises. I actually went to Hadrian's Wall, and there was obviously a segment of Hadrian's Wall. There. And there was a penis there, not a real penis, a carving of a penis.
It was on the floor.
And it wasn't in the bathhouse, which is where you might expect penises to be. But we were walking along, and on the floor, literally,
there it was.
A square stone tile with a penis on it. It's amazing. More on Romans later. There's a lot of stuff about Romans to talk about this week.
Good.
Third headliner. As per recent tradition, this is a double headliner.
Oh,
yeah.
There are 2 blanks.
These are too hard.
An army of blank has been deployed to battle blank inside a British stately home.
An army of ferrets has been deployed to attack a group of
elderly women.
I was thinking more like escaped children.
What would be the rationale behind those 2 guesses?
The children have escaped. And
From where?
The beneath world.
The crypt.
From the vestry.
Yeah, the children have escaped, and the owners of the stately home, they're like, oh no, our children, they're out. Got to get the ferrets.
They're gone. They're all...
They run over to their like secret room. They pull down like the book on their bookcase, and a room appears, and like thousands of ferrets just swarm out, and they're like, "Go find the children."
Your mind is meant this. You need to get something checked, Brandon.
Your mind is a dark place.
Brandon sees the truth.
I have to say, Brandon, you may be surprised to hear that you are not correct.
Gonna make it correct.
Yeah.
The first blank. The first blank is 2 words: an adjective and a noun.
So they've deployed
Horny ferrets.
horny ferrets.
I've been deployed to battle what? Battle, not find or attack.
Battle. Horny ferrets to battle
Non-horny ferrets.
single women in your area.
It's just like
Female ferrets. Wait, where is it, Jack? Is it a home?
It's Norfolk, British
Oh,
stately
right.
home in Norfolk.
Is it like ants? Is it like wasps or something?
You're right on one count. An army of parasitic wasps has been deployed to battle moths inside a British stately home.
It's not as good as ferrets.
Yeah, not quite as good as ferrets, Jack.
Well, Blickling Hall in Norfolk, East England has been unable to contain an invasion of clothes moths which can damage carpets and furniture and clothing, etc. Managers are planning to release a bunch of microscopic parasitic wasps into the building. The wasps are called, and Luke will like this because it's binomial nomenclature, or nomenclature. That's the one. The wasps are called Trichogramma evanescens, measuring about 0.5 millimeters and are barely visible to humans. They search out moth eggs and lay their own eggs inside them, so a new wasp hatches instead of a moth larva. Once the mission is complete, the wasps will eventually die and disappear into the house dust.
All right.
I was going to say, that'd be really awkward if you're like, haha, we've got rid of the moths, but now there's wasps.
Yeah, now we appear to have a wasp infestation. Now it's time to release all the parasitic cats.
No, ferrets.
Parasitic moths to kill them.
Do ferrets eat wasps?
I don't know.
I'm gonna
I'm
go
not
with
Honestly,
familiar
why
with
would
the
they?
diet of a ferret. Possibly,
Humans.
Humans.
humans. One of my fondest memories, I was out camping with my grandparents and family, and we were walking out of the caravan park, and there was a bloke walking by with a flat cap on and 3 ferrets on a lead that he was walking ahead of him.
Oh, I had
Yeah,
something
like
like
people
that
walk
before.
ferrets like they walk their dogs.
Yeah,
Cool.
I find myself imagining what that guy's life is like and what crazy menagerie he lives in at home. He goes home and like feeds his ostrich.
I was once at a old military base. It's kind of like those cool ones. It's kind of like Duxford, kind of an Imperial War Museum. And basically, I was at one of these places, and I was walking around after looking at this like really big plane display. I was like, whoa! And I saw this couple, and they were both sat in wheelchairs, like sort of like electric wheelchairs. And I noticed they had something like 2 like little things on leads. I walked closer to look, and they were basically walking lizards.
Oh.
And this couple
That is so cool.
These couple like take their little lizards out wherever they go, and they just sit there in little leads and stuff, and it is so cool.
I got in trouble for getting my lizard out.
I told you about that, Jack.
If you have any headliners for us, tweet us at Cloud5Cast using the hashtag Cloud5, or email us at cloud5cast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We have some stuff to chat about today. It's not as serious as it sounds. It's like, sit down, talk me about your feelings. Well, first up, a message from a listener asking us all, what is our most embarrassing moment? This is addressed to all of us.
I know exactly what my most embarrassing moment was.
Please share.
Year 7 science class.
Oh yeah, I
It
remember
was a
this.
year
I remember
7
this.
science class. And Miss asked a question. The answer was esophagus. For some reason, my mind went to fallopian tubes.
Oh,
And that's what I said in front of
Magical.
everyone.
Oh, I hate it when my turkey goes down my fallopian tubes.
I swear to God, George.
Because I think most people know, like, I do a lot of things that could be classed as an embarrassing moment.
that
if I can name
might
one,
be
I'll
putting
name-
it slightly lightly.
Yeah, I'll name one. I'll be slightly related to Luke's science class one, because this happened in a science class when we were looking at reproductive systems. And I was sat
Always a
there.
good combination.
I was sat there looking at a picture of a vagina.
Unrelated to the lesson content.
You're in maths.
Yeah.
No, this was in science. This was in science. We're doing reproduction. And I went to the teacher and I was like, Miss, why do women moan when they have sex?
Why did you ask that question?
And
why, Brandon? Oh my!
And then at first, the science teacher was like, "How do you know that?" And I was just like, And then she looked me right in the eye and she went, "Because of the pleasure."
Whoa! That was your most embarrassing moment, do you think? Was it secondhand embarrassment because a teacher looked at you dead in the eyes and said, "We moan for the pleasure, Brandon"?
Yeah, I mean, it's that, or like, do you remember when we were doing Beauty and the Beast, Jack? And
I do.
That one Maison de Lune show where I stacked it, and then at the same show you threw your costume at an audience member.
Not the entire costume. I think it's important to note. I didn't just
stripped down and threw it at the audience.
I didn't like drag it off like pull it off like Velcro trousers like in a Magic Mike concert. It was. I played Gaston, so I had one of those little gold braces on my wrists, and they were really loose on my wrists. So and they were tied up with Velcro, so it really wasn't much going on to hold it there. And I threw out my arms at the end of the song, and the bracer flew off my arm and into the audience as the lights went down. And I think that just before the blackout, I threw the thing and then looked in horror, and my face kind of slackened, and then the lights went out.
It was beautiful. That was a fun experience.
It's delightful. I don't know what I think my most embarrassing moment of all time is, because I feel like you tend to shut them out in your brain and lock them in some dark place.
Yeah, definitely.
You just forget.
I know, related to Luke's one, I did shout out, there is an animal, a lizard in a desert called a thorny devil. And I mistook that for a horny devil, which is an entirely different beast.
The ferret.
So I shouted that. That wasn't too fun. But I don't think
the ferret army.
I don't think that was my most embarrassing moment. I think my most embarrassing moment in recent memory was an improv audition we had to do. So we were auditioning for the college play, or a college play, and a huge part of the audition process was improv, and most of it was fine until we had to improvise a Britney Spears "Hit Me Baby One More Time" display.
Oh baby.
You can hear from my voice that Britney Spears is not in my range, and it was just a disaster. I wanted to hurl myself onto the upturned chairs like a
Did you get
dramatic. It didn't really go ahead. Like everything kind of went weird
because of COVID.
We got put in another lockdown again, and what was hilarious about it actually was because my drama teacher actually fought my corner, which was really cool of him, because the guy who was running the audition was like, I was feeling a bit of resistance from Jack, and I was like, yeah, I want to fuck him, why? And Richard, our amazing drama teacher, said he kind of said, no, you know, Jack's great, you know, he's loves drama and all that stuff, and he'd love to be a part of it. So he offered to bring me in for a re-audition, and I said I don't. I had a lot going. Obviously, we were planning for like exams and stuff, and all of that stuff was going on, and I just didn't feel like subjecting myself to torture again would be get my mind in the right area.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't think I have. Yeah, like you said, I don't think I have like a really big. Oh my god, the biggest embarrassing moment ever. I don't think I've had that many. But one was, I still remember it. It was in the cafeteria at school, and I just got my chips, big portion of chips. I was like, I can't wait to go play football.
Yeah.
And I absolutely stacked it on the way out.
Oh no.
And my chips just flew. But to be fair, I did have a brownie which I caught in my left hand.
Oh, nice.
Brilliant. You saved the day.
But it was bad. There was a lot of popular people that saw me do that. So I had to slink off to the football pitch.
And the fact were fantastic, like all the seagulls
flying
at you.
Yeah, luckily I didn't get shat on.
Were you there when the birds would just like enter the cafeteria and like everyone be running around trying to get them back out?
Our school, to anyone who didn't go there, it sounds like an absolute fucking shithole. It was just that the canteen was very nice. It was just the fact that the seagulls knew how to get in
and not how to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all our secondary school, and like in the summer when it was really hot, we'd all go and eat on the field, and the seagulls were like the devils of the field. You'd be walking with your chips and you'd hear the cry and everyone would be like, run.
Yeah, the thing is, our school isn't really near a seaside of any kind, so the seagulls would have to migrate across England to reach us because in the summer because they knew
on a Friday.
They knew that the people there would that the army of chips would be marching out onto the fields ripe for the plucking. Do you know what I mean? The seagulls would fly down and bombard people. It's crazy. It was like a war zone. Also, on the subject of Roman penises and embarrassing onstage moments, the ancient Roman dramatists brought a new meaning to the term stage fright. If the script called for the death of one of the characters, the actor would sometimes be replaced at the last minute with a convicted murderer or rapist who would then be actually killed on stage.
Oh my god.
I've got some examples for you. So the ancient Greeks were a bit more reserved about live murder, but the Romans had no such compulsion for decorum. For example, are you guys familiar with the story of Orpheus?
Nope. Never
He's
heard of him.
He's a mythological figure.
Can't have been that famous. I've never heard of him.
I know Hades Town, but I'm not sure how much relevance and truth is in Hades Town. That is the story of Orpheus.
Well, so basically, Orpheus was a mythical figure who was a master musician who famously lost his wife Eurydice to a snake bite and kind of ventured down to Hades in an effort to retrieve her. Orpheus died in his own way when he was torn to shreds by female naiads for not honouring his previous patron Bacchus, the god of wine. Incidentally, another story has it that a bunch of women who had been spurned by Orpheus due to his liking for exquisite boys threw sticks and stones while he played his music, but the song was so beautiful the sticks and stones refused to hit him, so the women ripped him apart in an orgiastic frenzy. But
orgiastic?
I digress.
I didn't even know that orgiastic was a word.
Wait.
Orgiastic is a word.
What do you mean, exquisite boys?
Well, Orpheus displayed some,
dodgy.
Some inclination towards young lads, but so did many people in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. It wasn't as frowned upon as it is today. It wasn't as much of a taboo, actually.
Wasn't Julius Caesar gay?
Well, sexuality wasn't quite the same in Roman in ancient Greeks and Romans times.
Yeah.
Sexuality was very fluid. People would sleep with men and women. People would dress up as men and women. They would. So
it was easier back then, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I bring up this story of Orpheus is because when the Colosseum was originally built in 80 CE, they used elaborate sets depicting cliffs and woods from under the Colosseum's floor where a bunch of wild animals ran. The irony of the performance was that Orpheus could charm any beast, no matter how savage, with the beauty of his music. The criminal who was doomed to play Orpheus in the performance unfortunately failed to move the wild bear facing him and was promptly ripped to pieces in front of a live audience.
I'd love to go and watch a Roman play. Because I've seen a lot of Shakespeare. Shakespeare's good. Imagine watching Macbeth with that, sort of spoilers. It's a bit old. At the end of Macbeth,
spoilers. It's a 500-year-old play.
But the end of Macbeth, where he gets beheaded. Imagine if that was an actual guy, and you just sit there, and then they just rip his head off.
You would run low on actors quite quickly, I think.
Well, no. I mean, you use. Then again, you don't really have death row anymore, do you?
In some places, but I think there has been, even on death row, there has been a shift towards more humane policies and methods of execution, rather than throwing them onto a stage, dressed up in a costume, forced to act out the entire play of Macbeth, and then promptly decapitated in front of everybody, or torn apart by a bear. This guy, Marshall, also mentions a popular play about a bandit called Laureolus, who was crucified. The organisers decided crucifixion was a bit too time-consuming, so once the performers popped on the cross, they'd bring out a bear to speed up the process a bit.
Imagine just getting crucified and nah, take it too long, get the bear.
Bring out the bear. They
Bring
did
out
have
the ferrets.
A lot of
the horny ferrets, they're coming.
All of that discussion about Romans. That leads up to our first story this week in Weird, where, by some magical coincidence, an element of these Roman death plays has carried over into a more intimate scenario this week in Alaska. I present to you this headline. Alaska woman using outhouse attacked by bear from below.
Wait a minute, how?
Oh, no.
How?
What does that mean, from below? Did it, like, dig up, like a mole?
The
A
classic
bear-
tunneling
The bear gnashed
Had
at her
obviously
bum.
he's obviously made a nest in her outhouse to escape from the cold, and she sat down and was immediately bitten on the rump by a bear.
That sounds some like weird cutscene you'd like randomly encounter in Red Dead Redemption 2.
100%.
Like you're just walking through the grizzlies and you just hear screaming as some dude's getting minced by a bear in his toilet.
It's truly, I mean, out of all things to find in your toilet, the worst thing, I mean, I would say a spider would be the worst, or a snake, right? Those are the worst things I can find in the
Elvis
toilet.
Presley.
Oh my god.
Why do you say that?
Because he died on the toilet.
Yeah, I know, but he
but why
wasn't
would he be
sucked
there?
under. He wasn't
No.
sucked into the sewage system, and now plagues all of the world as a ghost. The
Imagine just
toilet
going to the
ghost.
toilet and then there's just Elvis and he's just like,
He pops up like singing Jailhouse Rock, and you're cowering against the wall naked, screaming. Still to come, we identified this week's Florida Man. We discussed the implications of the rise of artificial intelligence. Luke guides us through the Perseverance's historic landing on Mars, and we close out with everyone's favourite true or false game, Factoids. Can you identify the bollocks?
Bollocks.
Now for our surprisingly successful Florida Man segment, in which the most absurd area in America offers us a regular source of entertainment. For the latest in our forays into Floridians' frequent follies, Brandon brings us this week's Florida Man.
We're going to Miami today. This is quite an interesting one because it actually takes place in a courthouse.
Oh God. Florida men do not fare well in courthouses, in my experience.
Well, it isn't actually titled Florida Man. It's actually titled something different, but it still makes sense. Miami lawyer whose pants caught fire during arson trial arrested on cocaine charge.
Oh, that is amazing.
What the hell?
There's so much happening in
There's
the
a lot to unpack there.
So the lawyer who was in an arson trial, his trousers, or as Americans call them, pants, caught on fire, and then he was arrested on cocaine charges.
He was a liar. So his pants caught on fire.
I hate lies.
Yeah, obviously he
A
said
lie.
something, he may have said an untruth, which caused his pants to ignite.
Exactly.
Yeah, lie, pants on fire.
Precisely,
Yeah.
Joe. Wait, so can we? I'd love to hear the context for it, but before we do, can we please take a moment to address the beautiful irony of an arson trial and literally spontaneously combusting during that?
He was so guilty, he just burst into flames.
He couldn't hide it. That's his confession.
Yeah.
So basically, this Miami lawyer, he drew worldwide attention after his pants caught on fire during an arson trial. He was pulled over Monday night, and according to the police report, the officer thought, oh, there's a bulge in his trousers in his pocket. I think it's a knife. And it turned out to be a metal cylinder with white powder inside, and the lawyer just looked him right in the eye and like blurted out, that's cocaine.
Oh wow, amazing work.
Why did he go to trial then?
I mean, basically, like his pants caught on fire in March 2017, and he was arrested for cocaine charges on Monday.
And they have been burning since.
Well, basically,
Still
Just been
alive.
standing there in the courtroom.
Yeah.
so basically, he was representing a Florida man who was accused of torching his own car for insurance money. The lawyer
the
was
hell?
basically arguing to jurors that the blaze might have been caused by spontaneous combustion when flames and smoke began billowing from his trousers.
There is no way that's real.
That
He,
can't be
That is
real.
amazing.
basically, he went running
Allow
out
me
the
to
courtroom.
demonstrate.
He went running out the courtroom as the spectators just watched as he's set on fire, and he was blaming
my God.
an electronic cigarette igniting in his pocket at a coincidental time.
That's
but
so hilarious.
the
One
prosecutors,
explosive end to a story, am I right? Well, hey.
Joe's back with a vengeance.
Well,
they were calling it
hey.
a stunt of demonstration to illustrate the feasibility of spontaneous combustion.
Right.
Then it does happen, even though it was planned and therefore not spontaneous.
Yeah, so basically, the dude does cocaine. So he's not that
Calculated
cool.
combustion.
We've got a lot of other Florida men this week.
Dude, multiple Florida... We're in for a treat. Multiple Florida men. Brace yourselves, viewers. Gird thy loins.
they are so girded. Like, they are thick. So this is one Jack sent in. So you know it's going to be good because Jack seems to find very good Florida-related articles.
What
This is
can
from
I
The
say?
Guardian.
Yeah.
Florida women wear granny disguise to try and get COVID vaccine.
I'm sure it was absolutely foolproof. I haven't read this article, by the way, so I would love to hear your thoughts on it, Brandon.
I've read up on this a little bit, and basically it's two Florida women, aged about 10 years apart, 34 and 44, and they were wearing bonnets and gloves in a failed attempt to pass as old.
Oh, amazing.
So, like, imagine, like, these two people wearing bonnets and gloves.
Do they think it's the 19th century?
Yeah, they're going to show up. Mildred, would you like to play a game of Balderdash?
Yeah, trying to disguise themselves as an old man. They put on like a nightshirt and one of those silly like floppy hats that Scrooge wears. Carry on a little candle on a saucer.
I'm going to eat my gruel.
Please, I need the COVID vaccine.
Please spin it.
They succeeded their first shot. So because obviously
No way!
The way the vaccine works is you have to get a a starter shot and then you get a booster like 2 months later, I think, or 2 weeks later. One of the two.
Yeah.
Did they? That's the classic mistake. I bet that they did their disguise really well the first time round, and then the next time round they were like, "Yeah, dude, it's fine. We got them totally last time." And then they got a bit sloppy. Maybe they forgot the bonnet or the gloves.
They forgot the candlestick.
They forgot the candlestick. Yeah.
They had actual valid cards to show that they had their first ones, but they were denied their second ones. But like, I don't understand how that works, because if you've had the first one, like, what's going to happen to the second one? Does this mean like they're gonna
They're gonna die.
Immunity or something?
Yeah, no, they're dead.
They get
That's
coronavirus and die.
If you actually get the first vaccine and not the second one, you explode.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
See, seal of approval
seen it
from
happen.
Resident Science Corner.
Well, they were given like warnings for trespass, and no other action was taken.
Final Florida man.
Was a Florida woman?
Oh, another Florida woman.
Yeah, really, really bringing some equality into this today.
I love it.
So, Florida woman stabs sister with EpiPen because she's allergic to drunks. Police say.
What?
What?
Allergic to drunks.
Yeah, so a Florida woman stabbed her sister with an EpiPen as the two were drinking together because she's allergic to drunks.
Oh my god.
What sort of reason is that?
What if they were they were sat opposite each other, having a laugh, having a giggle, and suddenly one of the sister who stabbed her eyes just go dark, and she grabs the pen and jams it into her leg.
Leaps over the table.
Yeah,
It's happening.
Lunges with it. What happened?
They were drinking together. The sister told the officers that they'd been drinking together, and at some point she got tired and wanted to go to sleep. While the Florida woman, I'm not even going to try and say her name. So basically, she stayed up and continued drinking. So the records show that the victim said that the Florida woman went crazy and attacked her with the EpiPen, stabbing her multiple times, including her left thigh, where a welt had formed.
Oh no. So it wasn't violent. It wasn't like she was like, "Oh, you're allergic to drunks. Ha ha ha, you're drunk." EpiPen. It was like it was a frenzied attack.
So the Florida woman claims that she was allergic to drunks, so she injected her sister so she wouldn't be drunk anymore. "Quote unquote, what's the big deal?"
Oh my.
I can feel my brain cells dying when I hear stuff like this.
I know EpiPens give adrenaline. I'm not sure what else they give, to reduce the allergic reaction. I don't know if you know.
I have no idea.
Well, basically, yeah. So basically, when the first responders arrived on scene, luckily the victim wasn't injected with any medication because the way that she was holding, the Florida one was holding the EpiPen.
Well, yeah, lucky she wasn't injected with anything. She's only just bleeding out from multiple stab wounds.
And and finally, to round it off, the records show that this Florida woman had been violent in the past, and she wanted to press charges. So, the woman, whose name is Zelinsky,
right?
She's 62 years old, and she was arrested on a battery domestic violence charge.
Good. I would press charges if my sister attacked me with an EpiPen and stabbed me multiple times in the leg for no reason. Well, Brandon, that was a magical Florida. I was going to say Florida man. That was a wonderful segment of Florida people that you gave to us there.
Florida persons.
One day, I'm going to find a Florida baby. Actually, no, I feel like that'd be really sad most of the time.
I feel like you may want to rephrase that statement.
But I want to find a Florida baby. You know what I mean.
In the wild.
Yeah. I'm going to hunt down and capture a Florida baby.
You got to go to the Florida outback and you just throw down some like baby food and like with like that cool little net
Like
thing.
bait.
Yeah, and they'll come
you bait
crawling
it out, and then the baby will like emerge from the swamp, like and then she'll get in the net, and then you catch her, and then you take her home and grill
strike. You grill it.
Yeah, you grill it. Put a bit of salt and pepper on it.
Obviously, you
Bob's
idiot.
your uncle. Dinner time.
You don't baste it, you fool. You grill it.
Well, no, you can baste it.
Flambe.
Oh my god.
Flambe.
Right, that's enough. That's enough. Also this week in Weird, I stumbled across a story that reminded me of a loose end from a previous episode. This headliner: new AI Ramanujan machine uncovers hidden patterns in numbers. So it's a new AI that can generate novel mathematical ideas in need of proof. So it can like seek out mathematical problems that haven't yet been proved but could be proved, that are likely true.
So basically it's just a big nerd.
It's a nerd.
Cool.
Well, it was named after a supreme nerd.
Oh, who was it?
Indian mathematician named Srinivasa Ramanujan, who was a child prodigy born in 1887, who came up with many mathematical conjectures, proofs,
Is he the
and
one from
solutions
India?
to equations that have never before been solved. Well, he was Indian, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a film about him.
Is there?
There is.
He was only the second Indian man to be inducted into the Royal Society London in 1918, 2 years before his death of a very complex illness at the age of 32. Ramanujan represented a fascinating conjunction of science and religion. As a deeply devout Hindu, he credited his mathematical capacities to his family goddess. He once said, "An equation for me has no meaning unless it expresses a thought from God."
Wow.
What I don't understand, right? And this might be because I'm not very good at numbers. Like, I don't understand the idea of like, oh, let's try and find a new mathematical theory. Like, what does that actually do?
But in fairness, I have to agree with Brandon in that if there is a mathematical theorem that has to be actively sought out in order to be solved, is there much point in solving it? Because people will encounter mathematical theorems in the process of doing some engineering or some science or biology or any of that stuff, right? But a machine that deliberately hunts for things that might be true and need proving, it's just giving people. It's just like a.
Is it not
like
hunting for stuff
game.
in incomplete proofs though? Is that what it is, or is it just like finding stuff in numbers because it can?
I don't know. I think it might be that, but I haven't.
Oh,
that's
right.
all I found in the article. But
So it's a useless nerd.
Once I did a quadratic equation in GCSE maths, and I didn't do it very well, and I ended up getting my answer as 10 equals 8.
10 equals 8.
Wow.
It does.
Yeah,
It
10
does.
equals 8.
10
I
equals
don't see a
8.
problem, Brandon.
I don't
Yeah.
see an issue. Well, this story about the nerd engine reminded me
Idiot
of something
engine.
that happened. No, the opposite of an idiot engine. He was a very, very intelligent man. But in episode 4, we talked about the chimpanzee Stone Age, and we also touched on the rise of AI, but ultimately put it off due to, timing issues. So with this funky new machine in our headlines this week, what do you guys reckon about the rise of AI? I'll go to Luke first, because Luke is our resident science man.
The rise of AI. Okay, I have two very contrasting opinions. The first one, which is kind of like my inner dystopian future. I just want us to become hunter-gatherers again. I think that would be,
Mammoth!
Find berry, eat berry, get ill, die.
Fire.
Blueberry.
Kill mammoth!
Yeah.
Beat person,
Mush.
eat person.
Also,
Shit on wife!
Punch wife.
It doesn't have to be like that. It just doesn't. Like, if we do,
oh my god,
if we do become hunter-gatherers nowadays, we don't like go back millions of years in like our language skills. We're not like, all right, Dave, I'm just about to become a hunter-gatherer. It's like 2 minutes later, Berry, I see Berry.
So you're like crossing the street, and on the way, he's like, "Hi, Dave, I'm off to the hunter-gatherer convention. I'll see you later." On the way back, and then they cross later in the street, and the guy has converted into this like shaggy, hideous, dirt-covered beast with a jutting forehead and jaw, and he like looks at and Dave's like, "You're right, Michael, how you doing?" And he just looks at me and starts going. It starts like screaming at him, and Dave like has to run.
His clothes off him, like,
He starts like throwing bits of flint at him.
Like flinging faces.
Oh my god. But on the other hand, I also see it as a really cool thing. If we're gonna try and make a sustainable future and everything, AI could be a massive help in that.
That's true, 100%. All we have to do is make sure it doesn't kill us all.
Yeah, you got to be nice to it.
Well, before I come to the other guys, I'll give you some reference about some stuff that AI has been used to do in modern times. Flippy, the burger flipping robot, can grill between 150 to 300 burgers per hour.
What?
He was put to the test at a California burger joint, but let go after 2 days due to complaints from his colleagues that they were unable to assemble the burgers as Flippy could grill them.
Wow.
Oh, no.
They couldn't. They were
dude's
not
crazy.
fast enough.
He was too good.
He was too good at burger flipping.
He's too powerful.
That's one. There's also a London-based company called Intelligent X, which sells the world's first beer brewed by AI. You can make an account, choose your beer preference, train their algorithm by using their platform to tell them what appeals to your palate and what doesn't, and voila, you have your own personalised beer.
That is cool.
And they're also, probably on the more groundbreaking side of things, there's a thing called the There's Waldo, or Wally to UK listeners, an AI that uses a plastic hand and complex facial recognition technology to filter a page and locate potential Wallies. If it determines a match of 95% or higher, it'll slam its plastic hand on Wally's face really fast.
Wow.
So you will be able to find... Sure, I think that takes away the fun of the Wally book if you just give it to a robot and the robot
Where's Osama?
And the robot starts punching the Where's Wally book.
Where's Osama bin Laden?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll talk about the Where's Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
I was
They
on
have to
holiday
know.
in Inverness, and we found in the bookshelf a book entitled Where's Bin Laden? And it was a book about locating Bin Laden. And I don't know how old the book was, probably back when Bin Laden was a bit more relevant.
And alive.
And alive. and I have to say, I found Bin Laden.
Wow,
Found
proud of
it.
you.
Nice.
I did. And all his men. Which is fun. But anyway, what do you guys think about AI?
I think it's good, but also bad.
Thanks, George.
I think it's great because
Thank you,
AI
George.
can always be trusted to make the most logical decisions. Therefore, there's no like human imperfections, so we might as well use it.
Dude, you're
Yeah.
sounding very much like Commander Spock right now.
Well,
Mike, kind of.
It's true though, because they'll be like perfect, like too perfect.
Yeah,
the thing is though,
they're
AI,
always
be
the
better
right
than
choice.
I was,
They'll
I
like
was too-
take a load of jobs, like
Well, exactly like Flippy the Burger Man.
flip
could-
a burger.
Flippy the burger flipping robot can outperform human beings.
Well, I think personally, like, there is a line, because I was talking to my dad about this, and, like, AI has far surpassed, like, human intelligence. Like, AI is now, like, very, very, very powerful. But at the same time, like, where do you draw the line between having a sort of humans do manual labour or implementing a robot that can do it perfectly?
Get robots to do it, isn't it?
It'd be cheaper as well, because you just got to buy the robot. You have to pay
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but then at the same time, like, is that just going to fuel the sort of the wealth sort of crisis and, like, poverty, like, problem that the world
Shame.
faces?
Nobody has to work. It's all
Shame.
jobs be done by robots. There we go. Simple.
And then we can all go and be cavemen in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stop
The
bothering
thing is,
us.
though, like, with AI, though, like, it is just, like, oh, like, this AI has to do, like, this very specific job. AI isn't, like, human as such where it has free will yet. if
Yeah,
that
it
happens,
can't. There have been incidents where people have thought, "Oh, the AI are taking over." There was a Facebook chatbot, and Facebook had two chatbots talking to each other, and they actually had to shut them down because they started communicating in a language that only they could understand.
the thing is though, that's what
hilarious.
happens.
But also as well, though, there was a guy, one of the founding fathers of AI. I think his name was Joseph Weinzenbergen or something like that. He invented. I will look up his name and put him in the Discord link so that you guys can actually know what the shit I'm talking about. But he was one of the founding fathers of AI, and he started to take a more critical stance after he noticed that the AI bot that he created called Eliza had started to take on a kind of psychiatrist role. So his secretary and stuff started to actually emotionally connect with the robot, which was talking to it like a warm, friendly psychiatrist. And I think the point he realized was when he wanted his secretary to talk to the thing, and the secretary asked him to leave the room.
Oh.
So,
it's this problem he's losing.
but like you say, Brandon, those are isolated incidents where an AI has been programmed to do a certain thing and it does it very well. AI still can't reach the same level of complexity that is the human mind.
Well, I think AI is kind of like how we are in a way, where it matures, it learns. Like
It's
I've
learning.
seen,
I'm a neural net processor.
It's coming.
well, I've seen. This is going to make me sound kind of sad because it is actually it's something I saw sort of theorized on an anime. But it makes sense.
Brandon's broadcasting from his metal caravan on a mountain full of conspiracy theories at the moment.
No, it makes it
Radar
kind of
dish on
makes
top.
sense. I've seen they were basically talking about wouldn't it make more sense if you were trying to create true AI to raise it as if it is a newborn and aging up so it learns as if a human would?
But why? Why would you want to do that?
So
Because-
you program like
perfect.
but then the
AI
AI
now-
would have to learn, because you can't raise a computer like a baby, because a computer doesn't have a brain development like a baby. The brain is an
give it the brain,
exceedingly complex organ to the point where not even human beings understand the brain fully. I don't
think-
think that. I think there's something. I hear what you're saying in terms of helping an AI learn, starting with very little and building up its knowledge, so that it seems to have the kind of facets of knowledge like a human being does. But I don't think it would be able to. You'd be able to raise it like a baby, because it'd be great. It'd be cool if you gave it a little physical body that you could rock around and treat like a baby. But the great thing about the AI was, if it started to get too self-aware, you could throw it out the window without feeling too much moral.
Yeah, you can just get a hammer and whack it.
The thing is though, why do we throw it out when it becomes self-aware? Surely is that drawing a line at a point where we're just afraid?
Yeah,
we shouldn't be afraid.
And I think they wouldn't throw it out the window. They would probably keep it alive and experiment to the best of their ability, because thus is the nature of science. And eventually, the baby would grow into a very large, muscular robot who would
oh no, teen stage as
theorizing.
well.
Yeah, start theorizing on how to overthrow the human populace, and then we can all go be cavemen again.
Amen to that, Jack.
Thank you, Luke.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know how AI, because there's very different types of AI. Because there's AI that is very specific, like flip burgers, and then there's AI that's like learn how to do this,
Sex
create this,
robot
and then they
as
end up
well.
creating their own language.
Sex robot.
But
Sex
what?
robot.
Sex robot.
But the chatbot can't move, for instance, and it can't.
Just give it legs then.
It can't kind of. It's that. It's like a. Do you remember that game online called like EVBot or whatever that you could talk to theoretically? That was so flawed, wasn't it? I mean, it's so broken.
Genius is what it is.
They take there are bots that can like auto create tweets as if it's like a real thing, but actually it isn't. I'm sure the language that they were talking to each other in isn't decipherable at all. When the way the story is phrased makes it sound like they're plotting, but
they're probably just.
What it means is I don't think they know what they're talking about. They are just shouting random strings of code at each other.
Well, yeah, because a lot of AI chatbots and whatever that have been tried to create, I've seen stories where some of them have to be shut down because they're too heavily influenced by people. I think some of them were sort of shouting like racist and sort of Nazi
I've
propaganda.
heard of that. Yeah, there was one like Twitter bot that started getting like really, really weird and racist because people would say racist shit and like really, really edgy stuff to it in an effort to like sabotage it basically, and then it started feeding it back, so you could like tag it into a conversation and be like, hi, Evie, how are you doing? And she would say some obscene, disgusting, horrible thing, and it's hilarious. There's a lot of conversation to be had about an AI. I think we could talk for the length of a normal episode about AI, but we don't have the time. We've skimmed the surface of what there is to talk about AI. If you like it, we can always come back to it, maybe even theme a whole episode and actually go into a little bit more depth on that and about Luke's caveman theory. But for now, it's time to move on to Science Corner. Now for a more erudite experience, our regular scientific segment presented by our very own Luke Potter, Lord of the Science Corner. Luke, my friend, I do know what you have for us today, but I'd like to hear you say it.
I have the NASA Perseverance rover. All of my post-it notes have fallen down. This is going to be interesting.
It's going to get wild.
Sweet.
So
I'm off-roading today. Training wheels off. We're going improv.
This is Luke from the actual rover on Mars.
I don't have any post-it notes, so all of this shit is going to be completely unfiltered. Mars rover, let's go. Are there aliens? We don't know.
Don't believe a word I say.
Is Mars a planet?
All I say
Yes.
is wrong.
That is what we do know.
Back to you.
Sorry. Okay, Luke. You can carry on.
Oh my god. I'm like actually dying.
He's dead.
So on the time of the chat, yesterday, Thursday the 18th of February 2021, at about 9 p.m, the NASA Perseverance rover touched down on Mars. It's crazy. It was about like a 7-month space journey. Jack, that was so underwhelming.
Lame.
Your guys' reaction.
Lame.
It's just like, I touched down on Mars. Yay.
Let's do a proper reaction. Everyone,
Where's the
get your
cool
clapping
stuff?
and get your woos ready. 3, 2,
Brilliant.
1. Woo! Woo! I'm the only person wooing.
It would be amazing if after all that lead up, Luke goes, the Mars rover has landed on Mars. And then there's a silence. And then one of us just goes, hooray. And that's the end of Science Corner.
Great. Right, moving on.
There's no science. Moving on. Factoids. For some trivia to end the show in our weekly segment.
It's so different from like the videos that I've seen of like the NASA HQ desk and everything, where
rejoicing.
It's like, and it's touchdown, it's fine, and everyone's like, yeah, they're like screaming.
It's like the second coming of Jesus.
Well, the thing is,
they can't high five or hug, so they have to like punch each other with their elbows. It's great.
Punch each other.
A brawl.
It becomes a bloodbath.
Alright, Mark, punching like elbows and breaks his nose.
Oh my god, it landed like wallops Jeffrey.
It's like punch Maureen in the face.
Sorry, Luke,
Oh
what
God.
science do you have for us today?
So this Mars Perseverance rover touched down on the Zizero crater. I hope I'm saying that right. Which is basically
The Martians are going to come and kill you because you didn't say it right.
Yeah,
they're tracking me already.
bit racist of you, Luke. Not pronouncing Martian things right, mate.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir.
Bit iffy, but you're problematic, mate.
Yeah, you're not coming on the next episode, Luke.
No, sorry.
Trigger warning / Mars phobic.
It's a group decision that you're no longer part of Cloud 5.
Yeah.
That's it, all corner.
So the Perseverance rover touched down on this ancient river delta, and like which used to be a former lake. What I know of a delta, I don't know if this is correct. Brandon, you do geography, geology.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, finally,
It's like-
Brandon's geology knowledge comes
I know.
into play.
Yeah, a delta is kind of like the mouth of the river. It's like a formation in an estuary. Yeah.
And so this is like an ancient delta kind of thing. And so what NASA wanted to do with the Perseverance rover was they wanted to search for microbial life, which is really crazy. It's going to be a little bit underwhelming the next few days because apparently NASA are just going over like commissioning to make the rover like usable. So they have to check for like damaged hardware, download software changes so that it becomes a rover rather than a thing flying through space, so they can like control it from their computers.
That there is that kind of stages of they have to like give it an update.
Yeah,
bug fixes.
Yeah, bug fixes.
And so basically the rover touched down on the base, so kind of like near the middle of this delta.
Don't say it, Jack.
Was it perhaps Luke?
No, it was not.
It was a sandy rocky. Base. Okay,
no. Stop it. It's not funny, and I hate it.
Super sandy.
Why do you loathe it so much? Anyway, we are keep derailing it. Shut up and let Luke talk about science.
The rover's mission is going to be to dig down into the soil, take soil samples, look at the rocks and everything, and it's going to go from the middle and it's going to work outwards. And I was going to say what it wrote on the article, which was going from the base to the rim. I decided not to because I just thought
rover's going to give it a rim job.
No.
NASA rims Mars. Breaking news.
Moving swiftly on. So NASA chose this area because of the large amount of carbonate deposits. And so the carbonate rocks are apparently good at trapping biological material that was present ages ago and stuff. So like on Earth, carbonate rocks will be formed around fossils and stuff, which is what I...
Can I
Yes, you can, Brandon. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm like edging on my seat like, oh, this is lit. Okay, so carbonate rocks, sedimentary rocks. So that is like your limestones and stuff, basically composed of the remains of algae and other sort of like the shells of creatures and stuff.
Right.
So
crustaceans.
It is incredibly easy to find life and sort of signs of life when it comes to carbonate rocks, because obviously carbon is the building block of life. And it was what's really exciting about this rover is with like the samples it's going to take soil samples, rock samples. Well, they're basically going to be put in GPS locations where in a couple years' time, NASA or possibly SpaceX, depending if Elon decides to get there quicker, because he probably will, because they're doing very, very, very fast progress.
Yeah, he should stop focusing on microchipping apes and get up there.
Yeah, but basically...
NASA is outplaying him right now.
In a few years' time, these GPS locations will be visited by a probe or some form of ship that will basically come down, pick them up, and like relay them back to Earth eventually. This is where we can really begin to look into them, because obviously there's so much you can do as a rover on Mars. If you bringing back rocks from Mars, the moon, like moon rock, incredibly expensive, goes for a lot of money. A lot of geologists want to look at it for obvious reasons. So Mars rock, especially because Mars is, because they're basically doing it around a river, like a delta. The sediments on deltas tend to deposit due to saline water content and a freshwater content mixing, and obviously the densities will cause a drop of sediment. This sort of is very big because it will show us microbes, any form of life in the carbonate, and also sort of the types of water, basically giving us a really good idea of what Mars was like. And I've been going on about rocks for ages, so Luke.
That is amazing. Have you seen the pictures that have been broadcast?
They're so cool. Yeah. They're so cool.
Yeah. I also saw a picture of Venus that Russia took before the thing melted. You guys see that?
Wait, show me.
I saw that.
I haven't seen that. Pop that in science course.
Russia landed on Venus, took a couple of pictures, and then the thing melted.
So, but they managed to beam back the pictures before the thing melted.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen those. I do remember watching a video back in secondary school, and I think it was year 11, and it really, really excited me actually, because it kind of instilled this realization that in our lifetime, it is very likely that we will see a manned mission to Mars.
True.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is fascinating. I also heard that they want to establish a permanent base on the moon.
Yeah, well, I think the moon is a lot more feasible than Mars.
Oh, 100%.
Because Mars, the journey to Mars is 7 months. The journey to the moon is a couple days.
This is 7 months of the Mars rover going extremely fast. And I don't think a spaceship will be able to go that fast with people in it. Because there's just so much stuff. So
it'd be like in cartoons where they're like cheeks and jowls are like flapping about in the spaceship.
Like Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because basically, at the moment, geologists are very, very, very excited because. Well, because basically, NASA is probably in a few years when these samples do return. NASA is probably going to bring aboard a load of people like biologists, chemists, geologists, all the people with these fields that are able to take these samples and really, really, really look into them and work out the building blocks of these. It is going to be really interesting, but that's really all we can do with Mars at the moment. A manned mission to Mars is still quite difficult, I think, because of the long journey. It'd be 7 months there for not that long on Mars, and then 7 months back.
Yeah, it's a large commitment for a manned mission to Mars.
We could do the moon a lot easier.
I think it's more likely to have a moon base than a.
I'm surprised we haven't done manned missions to the moon. The last one was years ago.
Yeah, but I guess once they've got all their tech up
what's
there,
the point?
you kind of don't need to for any other reason than novelty. I think if they had to go up there, they would, but they don't. At most things that can be done on the moon. So, for example, if they have to replace some technology or fix some technology or go and get some more readings or whatever, that can be done with a rover, which is not only probably less expensive and difficult than trying to send human beings into space for several days, but also reduces the cost if the rocket explodes or crashes or something horrible happens. There aren't 3 astronauts starving to death and dying horribly in the vacuum of space.
Yeah, but what's more fun?
You're right. What's more entertaining?
I think they'd be more inclined to do a manned mission to the moon because they discovered water on it recently.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't discover. They didn't discover water. They probably found some trace of water. They didn't find.
Yeah, it was in a glass. It was in the jug.
It was in a little plastic bottle of water. The secret moon lake that's been hiding on the dark side this whole time. They didn't find water.
On the 27th of October 2020, NASA released a sort of a statement from their Sophia Observatory where they've discovered diffuse water molecules on the moon's sunlit surface. So there is traces of water and small deposits of water on the moon.
But microscopic, right? Not to any extent that you're not going to have Neil Armstrong walking around up on the moon with his fat sucking the dirt to get some sort of sustenance. That's not going to happen.
I think the reason I said it though is I think they'd be more inclined to do some form of mission to the moon because if there is water there, they can sort of investigate if there's anything else sort of related to that water. If you get what I mean.
Fishes in the water.
Yeah. Moon cod.
Moon cod.
Yeah, but there's a moon shark. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Luke?
Yeah, so going back to what Brandon was saying about the rover itself, it has microscopes attached to it and everything, so it can use microscopes and it can look into the soils that it's driving over, but it doesn't actually have any analysis equipment apparently, so it's not immediately analysed. So this is going to be really anticlimactic, so it's still going to set down, and so it's going to take these soil samples, put them in the locations to be picked up, and then we're not going to actually be able to analyse them for another few years. So we're just going to get pretty pictures for now, which is more than enough.
I wouldn't say pretty. I mean pretty shit circular fisheye grey pictures of barren desert. Pretty is interesting, 100%. Pretty, no.
Oh, that's Venus.
So George has just put a picture in our Discord of Venus, and I will put this in the Cloud 5 community Discord. Join us, by the way, for some fun times.
That is actually beautiful in a weird way.
Fascinating. So I'll describe it to the listeners who aren't going to join the Discord. The picture actually displays a kind of greyish plateau of rock and a yellow sky.
That's
like,
really
yellow.
weird. That looks like soil that is like really grey. I want to know what that's made out of now.
But yeah, this was moments before the thing just melted.
That is amazing. That probably got sent back grey and then colorized, right?
Yeah, well, the Mars pictures have been colorized as well. Yeah. It's weirdly beautiful though, that picture. I don't know why. It is
amazing. And to think that we're looking at another planet. That's another planet.
And I think we're going to start to see a lot more like this now. I think we're at a stage where of sort of science and space exploration where we can now take really detailed photographs and stuff of these planets, and we're going to start to see some beautiful things, I think.
We are only just tickling the chin of space exploration right now. I think our lifetimes are going to be full of some very, very interesting discoveries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for some trivia to end the show in our weekly segment entitled Factoids, where I read out 3 facts. 2 are true, while 1 is a load of bollocks.
Oh, yeah.
Bollocks.
It is your job to identify the bollocks.
Bollocks.
This week, we have a factoid based around 3 subjects: ancient Rome, Mars, and artificial intelligence. Gird your loins, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
No internet allowed.
My loins have been thoroughly girded.
Factoid number 1. Pieces of Mars have fallen to Earth. Factoid number 2. Emperor Nero murdered his wife and replaced her with a horse. Factoid number 3. Stanford University has developed an AI that can tell if you are gay just by your face.
I need to find this AI. There's some things it needs to work out about me.
So please, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
No, sorry, Brennan. Hold on. It can tell if you're already gay.
Oh, okay. So it can't solve the lifelong mystery of me.
This isn't an AI that can just look at your face and go, "Oh yeah, oh 100%."
Gryffindor.
You're gay.
It's not the
you're gay.
sorting
You don't
hat.
even
I
know
was
it.
going to say, it's like the
Absolutely
sorting
right.
hat, isn't it?
Sorting hat
Gay.
for sexuality.
Not
Discuss.
gay.
What do you reckon? 3 facts. Pieces of Mars falling to Earth. Emperor Nero replacing his dead wife with a horse. And gay computer.
I'm confused by the Mars thing. A piece of Mars can't just fall because obviously there's like gravity on Mars. So like, how does that work?
I think the only way that could work is if a large asteroid hit Mars, causing rocks from Mars to be
I
sent
think we'd
into the
know, wouldn't
atmosphere.
we?
Would be sent into the atmosphere and like into orbit, and then eventually it reaches Earth. But again, I think that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think we'd have like seen that on the news if an asteroid had hit Mars.
Yeah, because like you can't just have unless it's. I don't know if they've done a Mars mission where it's come back and it happened to have like bits of Mars on the
That is
actual
true.
thing, and then it just fell as it came down to Earth.
But wasn't there like when the Earth was forming? Well, I mean, they don't actually know, but like there's a scientific theory when the Earth was forming, everything was like smashing into each other, all the different planets and everything. So it could be something to do with that.
True.
Because basically, like, the Milky Way used to be like this huge sort of amalgamation of gas and other elements that eventually started clumping together, which then ended up forming gravity, and that's how planets form eventually. Very crude, but...
So, factor number 2. What do you reckon? Emperor Nero murdered his wife and replaced her with a horse.
I think Nero's
I
the
knew
mad
Emperor
one.
Nero, he was
so
the 100% anti-simp.
Yeah,
I think he's the mad one, so I'm just going to say that is definitely true.
Yeah, I think that's too weird to not be true.
It's
Because
false. It's definitely false. Caligula had his horse was his best friend, and he was going to make it a consul. Nero did know such a thing, so it's a false.
Oh, because you know Roman history,
Joe
don't you?
knows his history.
Joe,
A-level,
Joe's
baby.
cracked it.
Clutch.
Joe's located the bollock.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Joe on this one.
Stanford University developed an AI that can tell if you are gay just by your face. What do you reckon?
I feel like there's some like serious stereotyping happening if that is
The
true.
person who coded
They
it
should
is
test
like,
it on James Charles and then test it on like Shia LaBeouf.
I love how you grasp for like the least gay person you could think of.
Well, I was gonna say like The Rock, but then at the same time, like he's pretty cool.
Only
And-
non-cool people.
He's pretty cool, so he can't be straight.
Can't be fully straight.
That's funny.
So, boys, what do you reckon? We're gonna have to ask you to pick.
Oh,
Nero,
I feel really inclined to Nero now. Yeah.
the
George?
anti-simp.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nero as well. Then I think that's the bollock.
Okay. I can tell you, boys, that in the first time in Cloud 5 history, all 4 of you have identified the bollock.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Finally
Now,
right.
I should have
So
known
Good
better.
on
I
you.
forgot that Joe was such a Latin master and would have possibly would see through my ruse.
Your ruse.
But he is absolutely 100% right that it was Caligula that was a little bit manically obsessed with his horse and actually gave it an entire estate and guard detail and actually tried to make it a consul, which, for the uninitiated, is the highest office in ancient Roman public life.
Wow.
So he tried to do that to his horse. I don't know why. I don't know why he was so
He liked
fascinated with his horse, but Caligula was a nutty fucker and also did some crazy, all loony stuff like trying to build a boat of bridges so that he could conquer the sea and slap people with fish around like all the time. That might have
I
been
love
a
how this is
horrible
like
history's invention.
Joe's common knowledge that like some Roman dude was obsessed with a horse. Like I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'll go through the non-bollocks first, and then I'll give you some context to the Emperor Nero, because the truth behind Emperor Nero and his wife is actually possibly just as bad, if not worse.
Oh no.
So pieces of Mars have fallen to Earth. You discounted that because you think that you were like, oh, we would have heard about it on the news. This isn't recently, but scientists have found tiny traces of Martian atmosphere within meteorites that have been violently ejected from Mars, orbited the solar system for millions of years, and then crash landed on Earth. These are called Martian Meteorites, and 277 meteorites on Earth have been classified as Martian. Several of them have been found to contain what they think, some people think anyway, is evidence for fossilized Martian life forms. A 16 million year old chunk of Mars that landed in Antarctica, which continues to prove itself to be the coolest fucking place on Earth. This 16 million year old chunk had cracks containing carbonate materials. Love some carbon. Implying groundwater on Mars, as well as tubular structures that might be nanobacteria fossils. However, I mean, it's quite controversial. Because the existence of nanobacteria, even on Earth, is kind of disputed. But the structures that they found within this rock bear the right size and the right shape and the right appearance to be nanobacteria, if nanobacteria do exist on Earth. So that's some pretty fun sciencey
I've
stuff.
never seen them. Can't-
As for this Stanford University thing, the AI that can the literal automated gaydar. What's fascinating about this? I mean, you said that it was it might be cancelled because people are obviously quite rightly sensitive to things like this, but actually what the AI found is obviously in support of LGBTQ because, it lends credence to the theory that sexual orientation stems from exposure to certain hormones before birth. Ergo, being gay is not a choice. It's naturally inherent in people, from birth, which obviously a classic homophobic go-to is, being gay is a lifestyle, it's a choice, and this study proved that it isn't. A computer algorithm developed by Stanford University can correctly distinguish between gay or straight men 81% of the time and 74% for women. The research found gay men and women tended to have more quote-unquote gender atypical features, expressions, and grooming styles. Human judges performed much worse, identifying only 61% for men and 54% for women. So the AI outperformed people in accurately guessing people's sexual orientation. When the AI studied 5 images per person rather than just 1, it was even more successful. 91% correct rate for men and 83% for women, providing some, support for being gay being an inherent thing from birth. But also, its lower success rate for women also suggests that female sexuality is perhaps more fluid than male sexuality. Obviously, there's, opinions still divided on that socially and scientifically, but this is one particular study using a computerized gaydar. However, it does have its limits. I don't know what the sample size was. I didn't include that in the article that I found, but for example, the study didn't include people of color, trans people, bisexual people, so it hasn't kind of looked at that kind of area. And it also presents some alarming questions about, privacy and people possibly being targeted for sexual orientation. If there is a computer that can identify whether you're gay or straight just by looking at you, that could be exploited by not fun people, and could also, if you think about how many pictures of ourselves are floating around on the internet right now that we might not even know about, be conscious of. What if there was some great Skynet-like device that could target people based on sexuality? That's quite a frightening prospect.
Also, what I have to say though is, if it goes on certain things like grooming and stuff, what about if it was scanning a man? Let's say quote unquote feminine, well groomed sort of person, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would go, oh, he's gay. But he's actually straight. But he's just a bit more feminine, a bit more well groomed than sort of the average.
That, I assume, leaves that gap, in that, because there's obviously not 100% accurate. So obviously there is some wiggle room in terms of accuracy. Because, there's a whole list of things it found that, gay men tend to have narrower jaws and stuff like that, tend to have stereotypically more feminine. Well, this study seems to think it is. Seems to have narrower jaws, possibly more traditionally feminine features. And on the other hand, female, apparently, lesbians tend to have possibly wider jaws and all this stuff. This is all the study, but it may be true, may be false, but that's what the study's presenting. Apparently.
I just struggle to understand it because it makes it sound like it's genetic.
Well, it's not 100%.
I know.
And this doesn't mean that there is a gay gene that travels throughout family trees. If your dad's gay, you're going to be gay. What it means is
how can you be gay if your dad's gay? Then you're not alive. Because how could?
Not necessarily, George, because gay people can produce children the same way other people do. Some people don't realise that they're gay until midlife. Some people don't.
Philip
Schofield's got a whole family, hasn't he? He's got biological daughters, and there's also, like Brandon mentioned, things like sperm banks and sperm donation and artificial insemination and all this lovely, lovely scientific stuff.
Forbidden soup.
Yeah, if you want to call it that, yeah, absolutely. But this is a very, very interesting study, and you can choose to believe it or not. But I think people have found that obviously there has to be some sort of biological basis for being gay. There has to be some sort of trigger in terms of your biology, and perhaps I think scientists tend to agree that it is a combination of factors, a combination of hormones and genes that induce homosexuality in human beings. Presumably, same with other species that demonstrate homosexuality. So that's fun. Really exciting. Now, Emperor Nero murdering his wife and replacing her with a horse. It's bollocks. You're the bollock. Liar.
You've located the bollock.
You did identify the bollock, and I'm very, very proud of you, if a little bit frustrated that my bollock... I thought I was really clever with the horse thing, because I thought one of you might go, oh, I did hear a thing about an emperor and a horse, so I think it's probably Nero. And you did fall into my trap initially, because you were like, Nero was the nutcase, wasn't he? He's probably true. But Joe swooped in with his knowledge. Yeah. Well, Nero's wife, Poppaea Sabina, died, supposedly in childbirth, although it was later rumoured that Nero kicked her to death, like the fun, charming gentleman that he was.
Imagine being kicked to death.
You just had a child, and you're like, oh my god, come see the baby, okay.
No. Kicked her to death while pregnant.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no.
Really, really disturbing stuff. He was an absolute psychopath. And he is displayed in a comedic light in a lot of ways, but this guy was truly awful. He was the same guy that would douse Christians in tar and position them around his house like candles. He was evil man. 2 years later, post-wife death, he married a young man named Sporus, whom he had castrated and paraded around in public appearances dressed as his dead wife.
Wow.
Oh my god.
He had the Sporus dressed as Empress, and using the titles that befitted an empress of that time. Some think that Nero used his marriage to Sporus to assuage the guilt he felt for kicking his pregnant wife to death, while others, such as Dio Cassius, wrote that Sporus bore an uncanny resemblance to his deceased wife, and Nero actually called him by her name, which is weird.
There's some weird psychological thing going on there.
This is disturbingly common in ancient Rome. There was this practice. There is a Latin term for such young men who were and sometimes boys who were castrated and became these kind of sexual partners for older men. And I don't think there was the same taboo around it back then as there is rightfully now. But this was quite a common thing. Sporus is probably quite a natural part of life. But after Nero's death, it didn't end there for Sporus. He was involved with Nymphidus Sabinus, who was a Praetorian prefect who'd actually betrayed Nero. Salvation? No. Nymphidus also treated him as a wife and called him Poppaea, the same name as Nero's wife. So he could not escape the garb of this dead woman. And Nymphidus actually later tried to make himself emperor, but was killed by his own guardsmen, which is possibly telling as to the kind of person that he was. Sporus' final partner in life was the short-lived emperor Otho, who was emperor for 3 months. And whose victorious rival...
3 months.
3 months. Yeah, there was a stream of like 4 emperors who ruled for ridiculously tiny amounts of time. Otho's victorious rival intended to use Sporus as a victim in a gladiator show, but Sporus killed himself before that could happen. So that's the really quite tragic story of Sporus, the freedman who was castrated and became Nero's wife.
Well, that's fun.
Poor guy.
Shame.
Yeah, really poor guy, genuinely. Like, that's... I mean... Fuck me. That's awful.
You would have ended it earlier, surely.
I would have done that, yeah. Rather than sleep with Nero. Jesus Christ. Nero was a nutbag, and he did have a lot of other rumoured sexual aberrations. I think he was involved in an incestuous relationship with his mother. I think he...
Oh, what the hell?
My God.
I think he raped a Vestal Virgin. If you know what a Vestal Virgin is, they are the guardians of the flame in Roman culture. They were supposed to serve the goddess of the hearth, whose name was Vesta. I forgot, and it's Hestia in Greek. Yeah, he was a terrible predator and pervert in all ways. But so were most emperors. I mean, you'd be lucky to find an emperor who was what we would consider today to be a normal person. They were all weird, all of them.
Every single one.
Every single one of them. The Romans were fucking batshit, all of them. That does it for this week's episode of Cloud 5. We hope you've enjoyed our nonsensical ramblings and perhaps even learned something fun or disturbing or both. If you have any questions, facts, corrections or silliness to send our way, you can contact us at cloud5cast@gmail.com, leave a comment on the Cloud 5 Podcast YouTube channel, or tweet us at Cloud5Cast, or use the hashtag Cloud5. These are so many different ways that you can get involved. Join our Discord server. We may have mentioned it once or twice. That would be delightful if you came in. We'll be posting up all the links to all of the wonderful knowledge and pictures we've been talking about and referencing today on there. So we covered a lot of ground as per norm. We talked about Rome, we talked about penises, we talked about AI, we talked about Mars. We also talked about bears in people's toilets.
Bears.
Yeah, bears and ferrets. I thought that ferrets was going to be a running gag, and it thankfully was not.
Well, it was a little bit, and then it died down.
It did die down. I think Brandon kind of realised that maybe the shelf life of the ferret joke.
Oh no, not the ferrets! I forgot about the ferrets. No,
oh, you actually forgot about them. What I'm going to do, Brandon, is I'm actually going to take a segment of you talking about ferrets and just insert it at random points throughout the episode, and then the whole world will be better off.
Name this episode Brandon's Ferret Army.
Yeah. Well. I hope that you have all enjoyed yourselves. I have. And we shall see you next week, if we're lucky.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Bye, babies.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, people.
Bye.